Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard, Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts, as well as on YouTube. So if you're listening and you haven't subscribed to the show on YouTube, please just go ahead and do that now. You just search Locked On Blazers. You'll find us on YouTube, also available wherever you get podcasts. Make the show the first listen of your day. Get your day started listening to the podcast. Today's episode is a very special one. We are joined once again by my friend and yours, friend of the show, Jason Quick of The Athletic. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Michael.
You're joining us from, I assume, a hotel room in Cleveland, Ohio, after the first two games of the road trip.
Yes.
What can you just give us a sense? You know, the Blazers are 0-2, a loss in Charlotte, a loss last night as well. And can you just give us a sense of sort of what the first two games have been like, and kind of what the post game was like yesterday in Philly after that loss to the Sixers?
Well, it's been a very frustrating trip for the Blazers for different reasons. Each game, you know, I thought they really controlled the Charlotte game for the first half and kind of midway through the third quarter. And then they just puffed it up.
Yeah.
You know, Yusuf Nurkic had a really bad stretch that resulted in 8 straight points. And then they just kind of, I don't know if they lost their composure, but they just started doing really dumb things, and particularly defensively, giving up a ton of open corner threes, a lot of plays around the rim, and they lost a game that I felt they were controlling, and I thought it was a really frustrating loss for them. And then against Philadelphia, you know, without 3 of their best players, 4 if you count Danny Green having to leave in the middle of the game with a hamstring injury, and they just got worked defensively. They took a step back defensively after, I think, what has been mostly a season of progress on that end. But so it's 6 straight quarters now where they've really got kind of scorched defensively. And, you know, Chauncey Billups' explanation for that is that, you know, often they have 2 or 3 guys playing good defense and tending to their assignments, but 2 or 3 other guys are not. And that's when breakdowns happen. And so they need to get all 5, you know, maybe even 4 guys on the same page and kind of adhering to their principles for this to work. So kind of a bummer, I think. I think when they left on this trip, there was a lot of positive vibes and some good momentum, and that has been kind of deflated a little bit here, and a little bit of a wake-up call from a defensive standpoint. And then, you know, of course, Dame has continued his struggles, monumental struggles, and I would throw CJ in there as well. But to their credit, both of them last night after the Sixers game were very professional and very upfront, and took a lot of ownership for their play and for the team's play. And, you know, no excuses, no nothing. They said, we have to play better. And that's what you need to hear from your leaders, but you also need them to play better.
Yeah.
And that's really hurting the Blazers right now, because for how bad their defense has been, and for how erratic Yusuf Nurkic has been, and how much of a no-show Robert Covington's been, they've been in these games.
Totally.
They've had a chance.
Totally.
And, you know, you think if Dame and CJ play up to their elite level, they could win both of these games. So that's the good news behind all of this kind of ugliness and deflating thing around these 2 losses. So, but yeah, I thought Dame in particular was really that's Dame. You know, that's the Dame we've kind of known and have fallen in love with, or at least, gotten behind, is he's no nonsense. He's upfront. He owns it. And when he says something with such conviction as he did last night, that, hey, I'm going to come out of this, and I think people will look at me in a different light. You have to believe him, because he's got a 9-year body of work of backing up what he says. And, I think we all know he's not going to shoot 34% from the field and 23% from 3-point range. Obviously that's going to, improve. But it's nice to hear that the way he's approaching it and the way he's handling it.
Yeah, he was. I thought he was. I wasn't there, but I did. I watched the Zoom or whatever afterwards. And I thought he was great. Like he was a little bit frustrated, I think, at the beginning of that press conference, and then he ended it just by being really honest. Like, hey, I'm bad, but I'm part of struggling is owning the struggles. I thought he was really impressive there. And you wrote about it too. It's like, that's the full Dame experience, right? Like that's the full experience, is that he is earnest and honest and wears it on his sleeve. And that includes the tough times as well.
And I think it's important to note that he's shooting poorly.
Yep.
He's not playing poorly.
Yeah, his floor game's been good.
He's tied for 5th in the NBA in assists. And I think he's once again getting, suffocated with traps. And I think he's handled it with composure, and he's making the right plays. And I do think he's trying harder on defense. He hasn't been excellent on defense, but I think you can see the effort has increased on that end of the floor. So I think it's important to say he's shooting poorly, not playing poorly.
Agreed. It's a shooting slump. I don't think he was very good in the last couple games defensively. I thought he was. I thought he had a bad stretch. Charlotte, he was worse than Philly for my money. But
oh, really? I thought the opposite.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why we have you on the show. That's why we get you on the show. Yeah, I thought he lost Seth Curry a couple times. But for me, the Charlotte, I thought he just...
Really? I thought CJ was on Seth most of the game, I thought, particularly late.
Yeah, no, late, he for sure was. I'm talking like in the middle quarters when they went zone a little bit and when they were just playing in transition and stuff. I thought there were times that he lost him a little bit. Nobody had a good defensive game against the Sixers. They let Shake Milton and Tyrese Maxey and Furkan Korkmaz kind of give them the business. It was
you forgetting George's Niang, or however you pronounce it.
George Niang. Yeah, George Niang. He had a monster game against him. And Andre Drummond really outplayed Nurk, and it's all bad news.
Yeah. Yep. I thought Ant once again looked good, and I thought Nasir really played hard.
Yeah, I
love the way Nasir is rebounding, man.
Yeah, one of the best offensive rebounding guys in the league right now. Depending on how you measure it, he's been really good. Before we talk about the positives, because I think those two are clearly the positives, are you more concerned about Dame's shooting or the defense right now? Like what gives you?
The defense. Okay, the defense.
Yeah,
just because we know that Dame's going to come around.
Yeah,
we don't know that the defense is going to come around.
Right.
Because they don't have a body of work.
Yeah, they don't have 9 years to point to of saying, hey, we've been a very good defensive team. They have mostly body of work that suggests that they're a mediocre to bad defensive team.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely more worried about the defense.
Okay, that's where I'm at too. I'm not ready to worry about Dame yet. I mean, I recognize this is probably the worst I've ever seen him shoot, but it just seems like the ball's going to go in a bunch at some point, and I'm not ready to freak out yet. But it is, 7 games into this, he has not shot it well. He said basically had one good shooting game out of the 7. So it's certainly part of the story. In the second segment, let's talk about the positive stuff. You mentioned Anfernee Simons. I want to talk about him. Let's talk about Nasir Little. It's not all bad in Blazer land. It's been maybe a tough road trip, but it's not all bad in Blazer land. Let's talk about the positives in the second segment. But first, let me tell you, this episode's brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving community since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's a place where friends and family can come together, a place where classmates can meet up, knowing they'll have dependable Wi-Fi and an endless supply of French fries and McFlurries Win or lose, it's a place where teammates, competitors, the home team or the away team can come to recharge. It's a place you can always look forward to stopping on a long road trip to rest your legs and refuel. Or if you're like me, it's a place you can go on a hungover morning or on a long road trip in rural Oregon when you know you'll get a dependable McDonald's meal. So why not head over to your local McDonald's right now to refuel and reconnect? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Oh, right. So we talked about the shooting struggles, Dame's shooting struggles. I'm ready to not have an episode that's, you came on last week and we were talking about that. I'm ready to talk about anything else. And anything else, at least at this point, is Anfernee Simons and Nassir Little. I think they're the two bright spots. And let's start with Ant. He has just been great. He's about as playing as well as I possibly could have imagined. What have you liked about Ant's game through the first 7 games?
I like that it's not all 3-point shooting.
Absolutely.
We've seen him take people off the dribble. And wow, that little kind of right-handed hook, driving hook shot. He's broke that out like I think 3 times now this year, and it's pretty.
Yeah. You said to me the first time he did it, you were like, well, that's new on press row. And now he's busted out a couple times. That's a go-to move for Ant at this point.
Yeah. And I thought he was on the wrong end of some really bad calls last night.
Yeah, he didn't
against Philadelphia. Particularly, I think it was at the end of the third quarter. He just got mauled, and there was no call. So I think his stats could have looked even more impressive last night. But I think that's the real important thing is he's not just a 3-point shooter. And I've liked his passing. It hasn't always necessarily reflected in assists, but he's made a lot of really sharp, smart passes. There was one in particular last night, an entry pass to Larry Nance Jr. I don't think Larry converted it, but it was like, damn, that was a smart read, a really good pass, put a little mustard on it. And so I think he's becoming a more complete player. And that was the big worry, I think, after last year is like, okay, is this just a one-dimensional kind of sniper shooter 3-point guy? No, he's making that clear that he has more of a full package. So I think that's really encouraging from Ant. But, you were saying that you think Ant and Nassir are the two bright spots. I would nudge Norman Powell in there as well.
Absolutely.
Since he's come back from his injury, I mean, just a relentless attacker. He's been finishing well. He's really kind of been a slowly and kind of subtly a real nice offensive force for these guys while Dame and CJ are struggling.
Yeah, we've reached this strange, and we saw it at the end of the game. They went with 4 guards, right? They went with that 4-guard group. Obviously you can't do that against every team.
Well, that's because Covington was terrible.
Yeah, he's been bad. He's been bad. They need him to be good again. He shot 38% from 3 last year and was one of the best help defenders in the NBA. They just need where is something that looks like that? It's not like he didn't have stinkers last year, but
I'm not worried about his offense. I'm worried about his defense.
Yeah.
He didn't even take a shot last night. He didn't even take a shot last
0
night,
field
19
goal
minutes.
Yeah.
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 It's more, you can see it with Chauncey, he's constantly on him. Like, how did you miss that? So I think there needs to be better play from that's what he hangs his hat on.
Yeah.
And he needs to bring that to the table and give the Blazers that. Cause if not, then, you have to start wondering, does Chauncey look at Larry Nance in the starting lineup?
Right.
Because I think Larry's shown a little pop. I think Larry would probably like to finish a little better.
Yeah.
As far as his shots, but I think that's. I'm not saying it's time to do that, but that's going to be if this continues, that's going to be an option that Chauncey Billups is going to have to look at. Do I switch my starting power forwards?
Agreed. And they want that, the team is committed to that group being good, but at some point, it'll just be inevitable that you need to look at possible changes. My question is your 2 best players are guards who are 6'3". Your third best offensive player is Norman Powell, who's 6'3". Your fourth best offensive player is Anfernee Simons, who's a scoring 6'3" guard. Like, the Blazers have, it's not a problem yet because like you get good players, but they can't play a 4-guard look. Are Anfernee Simons and Norman Powell sort of like, how do they fit in on a team that needs minutes and needs to find minutes for them and has such, heavy, is so dependent on their two other guards in front of them in the depth chart?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. And I think Chauncey's kind of coming to that realization that, as he refers to it, this is a puzzle.
Yeah.
And, I thought Tony Snell, by the way, looked good last night too.
Yeah. Does what he does, hit both his threes. Like, that's really dependable.
And he's really long. He's got those long arms. I think he kind of can disrupt a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you play him over?
Right. Right.
And so it just feels like this team there's a little imbalance, and it's primed for a trade in somewhere at some time.
Yeah.
It just feels that way. It just looks obvious that there's an overload of 6'3" guards, obviously.
Yeah. And at some point they got to consolidate it. And I guess, there's no rush. They don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And they don't need to do this until the new year. They don't need to do it till February, quite frankly. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's hard four of their best 4 offensive players are all the same size. And they're not, and if they were all the same size and 6'8", then it would be fine. But that's not how it works. Like, I liked the look of the 4-guard lineup. I just know you're just not gonna be able to do that. You're not gonna be able to do it Wednesday night against Cleveland because they're so damn big. Like, it's just you can't.
Well, and really, if you're looking big picture, the whole goal here is to win in the playoffs.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
And you're not going to win in the playoffs with 4 guards, playing 4 guards.
No, you might win in the NCAA tournament playing 4 guards.
Yeah. So, but first thing, you got to get to the playoffs. And I think this team has enough talent to do that, but they're going to have to start playing better.
Yep.
And look, we're 7 games in.
Sure.
And there's still, I think a lot of teams are kind of scuffling and trying to figure things out right now. So I don't think by any means anyone should be panicking or thinking this is going to be a lost season or anything of that sort at all. This team's figuring stuff out. They're figuring it out. Rotations, how to play, who does what, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it might not look all good all the time, I have no idea what I'm going to be watching when I go to the arena every night. And I love that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Because it's really intriguing. And I like seeing the way this develops. And I like seeing some guys getting tested early. Dame, CJ, Rocco. Let's see how you respond. Let's see what's made of these guys. And that's kind of interesting. And that's why I can't wait for, tomorrow night's game against Cleveland, who, by the way, Cleveland, you pick up the schedule in the early before the season starts, and you kind of chalk in a win on that, right?
Absolutely.
I think you're kind of thinking about that a little differently now. Cleveland just went 3-2 on their road trip and looked very good in doing so, and just beat Charlotte last night, the same Charlotte team that beat Portland.
Yeah. Let's talk a little about that game, because I think for a random Wednesday in November, it suddenly seems a little more meaningful for this team. But before we talk about that random Wednesday in November, let's talk a little bit about Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar that there is, the best tasting protein bar on the market. Don't search for other ones you don't need to. You can just find the best tasting protein bars at built.com. My personal favorite's cookies and cream and peanut butter brownie, but there's something for everybody. Go check their website. They got new flavors all the time. Whatever your palate, whatever your taste buds desire, you'll find a Built Bar flavor that meets them. But not only are they delicious, they're also good for you. 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and just 5 grams of net carbs. All tasty, all healthy. Go get yourself some. Go to built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. slump.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Listen, it's basketball season. There is no better place to bet on hoops than BetOnline.ag. So head on over to their website. You can visit it on your mobile device. You visit on your desktop. You'll see that it's new and improved. They updated the interface. They made it smoother and cleaner for you, and it's still got all the props, all the live odds, all the action you could possibly want. So why not go there now? And if you're making your first deposit, you can use the promo code Locked On, and you get a 50% welcome bonus. $100 becomes $150 when you use that promo code Locked On at BetOnline.ag. That's BetOnline, where the games start. Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richman. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. We're still chatting here with Jason Quick of The Athletic. Jason, you are in, I presume, downtown Cleveland.
Yes.
A few blocks away from the arena. Wednesday night, like you just mentioned in the previous segment, like they're going to play a pretty good Cavs team. To me, this game feels more meaningful maybe than a Wednesday in November should. Am I right to say that there's like not like a lot on the line, but like this is kind of an important Wednesday night game against the Cavs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't want to bring a donut home from a road trip. And, it's kind of gut check time for Dame and CJ.
Sure.
CJ made a note, he grew up nearby in Canton. And so he's motivated. Larry's, from here.
Yep.
He's going to be motivated. Dame has something to prove. And eventually pride kind of kicks in. The way they've lost the last two games, they weren't just losses. They were a little bit of a kick to the groin, So I think it'll be interesting to see what this team is made of. I think it'll be our first real, it'll be our second real kind of gauge of what's inside this team. I think the first one was how they would respond after getting blown out by the Clippers, and they had a great game.
Yeah, they played great against Memphis.
Yeah, and so this will be another indication. Can they rebound and come back from a disappointing performance like they did last time? So, yeah, this is like I said earlier. You look at the schedule when it comes out, and you kind of think, okay, this is an easy win at the end of a trip, but that's really changed because the Cavaliers are playing nice basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Monday night's game in Philly, when the starting lineups were announced, looked like a pretty easy game too, or at least a imminently winnable game too. And then, George Niang happened. So you, it's there are no gimmies, and Cleveland is gigantic. They play 3 7-footers, like they're just huge.
Yeah.
It's a unique test. Is there, like we mentioned, that sort of the Dame's problem, quote unquote, is just shooting. Do you think, like, to me when I watch him, he just looks a little bit short? Or is that fair? Like, is he short, or do you feel like he's missing all over the place?
I feel like he's missing all over the place.
All right.
And that, there's a couple national writers there last night, and we were talking like he's not just missing; he's missing badly.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a lot of rim outs and stuff. He's had, in Charlotte, there is a big air ball at a very important time. I think it was a 5-point game in the fourth quarter, and he missed by a foot and a half. And you just don't see that very often from him. And it's not the first air ball he shot this year. So he's been getting his money's worth on his misses, I'll say, So I don't know. I know that he was dealing with a hand injury earlier in the kind of coming out of preseason. And then last night, he talked about the abdominal thing. It kind of gets tight every once in a while, but I don't think it's a physical issue. And he has insisted that there's nothing wrong with him physically, that he's not being hindered by anything physically. So I don't know what it is. I just think it's become that it's a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's in his mind and he's thinking about it. And there was a time last night, I remember vividly, where he had an open look, he missed it, and he just kind of chuckled to himself. I mean, you could see his teeth, and he was shaking his head like, I can't believe this,
Yeah.
like, and so that's when I really knew that he was kind of wearing it and feeling it. And it's weird to watch. And I bet for him, it's really weird to experience it.
Totally. Well, why I was asking is, it's like if you feel like he's just missing short, you, maybe get him some catch and shoot shots so he doesn't have to dribble into them. But it's like, I agree with you. It's not maybe like prescriptive of just saying like, let's set him up for some easy ones. It's like I feel like he's missed him every flavor. And even when they've let him cook, when they've let him kind of do what he's comfortable with and like hunt matchups and go to work, he still hasn't, the shots still haven't fallen. So it's been all over the map.
You triggered something by saying that. I do think that more than any time in his career, he's played off the ball this year.
Absolutely.
They have let Ant and CJ kind of run the point a little bit and get him off the ball, which conserves his energy, allows him to do the catch and shoot. So, he doesn't have, as he says, 10 eyes on him all the time. And so they've tried that.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really beneficial down the road, not only from an energy standpoint, but just from the quality of looks that he'll be able to get.
Right. The variety, and even the pick and roll stuff, they've done it with dribble handoffs. So it's not the same like Dame dribble towards screen. It's like Nurk has the ball and you can it's still a pick and roll, right? It's still the same action, but it's a little more, there's a little more variety to it. I like the offense. I know it hasn't looked great, but I'm not like, I like the way the offense has looked. Aside from the bricks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for. Go ahead.
I would like to see Nurk finish better.
Yeah,
I think that was a big thing for me coming into the season was, will Nurk be able to finish better at the rim? And that has not happened, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I think it's frustrating for everyone.
It's a skill thing with him though. Like some of it is mental and taking his time, but like he's also just not very good at it. Like it's a skill thing. Yeah. He's never been a good finisher. It's not like he once was and he's kind of lost it or he, there was a time before he hurt his leg when he was really coming around in that area. For sure. Yeah. But it's like, I don't think
it just doesn't seem like his game is as power oriented as it was.
Right. I agree with that.
And I don't know if that's because he doesn't have lift out of his leg anymore or what. I don't know. But, he told me the other night that the coaches are imploring him, dunk more. And he's like, I'm so damn tired. I need to catch the ball first.
Right. Yeah. He was dropping passes. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got to get Nurk going. And, as I wrote about last week or this week, I can't remember, Chauncey is hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's really hard on him, and they're pushing him, and Nurk is accepting of it, and he's owning it. And it's been interesting. I've seen Nurk watching film more than I've ever seen him watch film before.
Pre-game with Roy Rogers, sitting down and pouring over it. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yep. And it's not just little sessions; they're long sessions right before he works out. So they're really trying to pound into him, various, principles and school him on defense and all that. They're really working on him. And I think that's really encouraging.
Yeah. I mean, if
it'd be nice to see some results.
Yeah. If he takes a leap as a finisher to even sort of like league average, he's going to be very good. Because the other night in that game against the Clippers, like he did not shoot well at all. And he had 14 and 17. Like he was going to have like a 25 or 22 and 15 if he makes a couple layups. Like it is the margins are there for him to be a real monster. But I'm kind of a non-believer as Nurk as a good finisher because in the way that I'm a believer in Damian Lillard's track record, I'm also a believer in Yusuf Nurkic's track record, and he's been a guy who doesn't finish around the rim. So, in the words of David Fizdale, take that for data.
Love it.
Yeah. David Fizdale, closet nerd. That's my people. Jason, thanks for joining us. We will do it again soon, and I will see you Friday when the Blazers play the Pacers. Maybe they'll come back with a.
That's Thursday, isn't it?
Oh,
or no, it is Friday.
Friday, yeah,
it is Friday.
Jason,
yeah.
You know how you know it's the NBA season? You don't know what day of the week it is. That's how you know. You didn't know when you wrote the Chauncey story. You don't know when the game is. The NBA's here, and the weeks and days don't matter anymore. It's just game day or off day.
Dude, I got to my hotel last night after the game.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what floor I was on. Because, it's like, okay, I was 7 here, 14 there, 12 here. What floor am I on?
Did you have to go back to the desk and be like, hi, I'm an NBA reporter who classically did it again?
No, I figured it out. I guessed it.
All right.
And I was like, yeah, this is right.
Good. Because I've made that walk of shame on the road before. Like, hi, it's like 12:45 and I just got back from writing and my brain doesn't work. Can you help me?
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Dear listeners, subscribe to The Athletic. Nobody covers the team better than Jason. Like I say it all the time, but I really truly mean it. Reading Jason's work is worth the annual subscription alone. Like you will get your money's worth by reading Jason, but if you subscribe, you get access to writers in every sport, quite frankly, across the globe, all the NBA coverage, NFL coverage, whatever sport it is you're into, you'll find writers covering the teams you're interested in. So subscribe for Jason, stay for everyone else. Get a subscription to support journalism. Also tell your friends about this podcast. They can get it wherever they listen to podcasts and also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Blazers wherever you're looking for us and you will find us there. Come back for a recap of the Cleveland game on a Thursday show. And Friday, we'll do a mailbag. So at Mike G. Rich on Twitter or lockedonblazerspod@gmail.com if you want to get in the mailbag. That's a week's worth of shows, 5 days a week, free wherever you get podcasts. Make this podcast your first listen every single day. Appreciate you listening. Talk to you soon.